go. And we're back. Funnily enough. It's not been too long, but stuff has happened. Had a bath, cleaned some things, cleaned my grill, stripped my bed apart. Well, I'll change it anyway. Right. Moving swiftly on. Right, now we can actually do this and not be not really care about it quite as much as I was before. So I had the navigation pane up at one point or another. I'm not sure why I've got rid of that. It's the outline. There we go. So we were working on backpacks. Why am I blind? There it is. Right. So yeah, specialize. Right, so yeah, we just want to do the item type container restrictions and go from there. Cool, so I'll just refresh everything. Looks good. I guess chat's right where it is, who knows. Alright, I'll just readjust. I probably want this somewhere else. I'll do for now. Okay, so the advantages of item type containers. So we're working on. It's kind of annoying that it's alternate background, but it's whatever. Item type restrictions on containers. So the advantages. I really want to. Can I move that down and still be relatively something like that? Maybe if I rotate it a bit. There we go. That should be okay. I can see the keyboard as well. So what are we thinking? So we've got item type restrictions on containers. So, do we care? So the advantage is, oops. So we can limit the player's ability to store types of items. Players will have to something like they'll, so if we had like a weapon only container and then other containers couldn't store weapons, it would be like players will have to make choices about what loot to keep. Is that something we want? I don't know, I guess that doesn't really matter at the moment. We're not really deciding, these aren't decisions we're making. They're actually going to be implemented as such. Yeah. Also, I think that's reasonable. I can't think of, there's not much more complexity about it. So, so this could make inventory manage. So this could make inventory management annoying, having to what container That's what. And then it's like having a limit on types in a game where players could amass a lot. It's a lot of problems for long-term players. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it makes sense for certain things. So like one of the problems I end up with in Dead Side, you can store everything and anything. You end up basically with like a guns chest and then an ammo chest and then a medical supply chest and stuff. But it's like it's free form. Um, it doesn't have any restrictions on it, and so you kind of you feel the need to keep everything. Like everything becomes valuable when you can store it all. If that without restrictions, items any item becomes potentially valuable to you, and I feel like it can confuse the issue sometimes. Sorry, my nose is annoying. Whereas if you have limitations, for instance, you can only carry 2 guns on you unless you have a special weapon backpack. That means you have to make more choices, and people aren't basically running around with a small armory on their backs, which is a problem I like to stop. Yeah. Okay, so well with inventory management, so we can make UI and hotbar buttons to store items in nearby containers. Containers automatically. UI and hotbar buttons to store items in nearby containers automatically. So that's a really nice feature. So you can like walk into your base, and you could even have like I really like the idea of having a button you can press and it just sucks all the items out of your inventory and stores it nearby. And you should be able to like favorite items or something, or limit it in some way. And it just makes inventory management a lot more trivial. So when you're in Rust, one of the most significant things is like repeatedly dying and having to get more kits. And the problem from both players' perspectives is like from the attackers who are raiding you, they obviously want to be able to exhaust your resources. And it's mighty stupid to allow people to store like infinite supply of stuff, because they end up amassing such a large supply that there's no punishment for dying. So like I could play the game, I could turn up at like 3 a.m. on the server with like 2 other people online, and then for me it could be like 7 in the morning or something, and now there's like no players online to contest me, and I could easily spend the entire day amassing huge resources, and then and then like utilizing them constantly in combat. And it's, yeah, it's difficult because the flow of like the combat and gear and stuff across the game. So if you need reason to do things, and if your base never gets raided, you just amass items, and then nothing, you don't use them, because like most people are kind of inherently going to have a bit of a hoarder mentality. So you'll be like maintaining these resources, and I mean, even I spend ridiculous amounts of time going in like mass producing items and making sure I've got a stockpile of everything. You know, I'll go back and get all of the basic materials again and like make sure that nothing's gonna run out, and I've got like duplicates of every main gun that I use. And then the result is I never actually end up playing the game. I play it to like this minimum level, and then because I'm so paranoid about losing my stuff, I never really engage in the PvP aspects of it that much. It's my own fault, but I'd imagine it goes for other players as well, and it's like if you had a limitation on what you could store, then I wouldn't have the choice like I normally would. I would inevitably run out of the ability to store guns, and then it would like force me to go and interact with other people to actually utilize them, I think. But it is a difficult problem. How do you get people to engage in PvP in a game like this? And you could argue you can sacrifice kits to the PvE content as well, but it's not quite the same. Hmm. Hmm. So the limits to the containers should be closely managed and should make sure the players can store enough kits of gear be able to do normal content and mid-session content without issue. So like, let's say we had a limit on, maybe it's even a limit on the quality of weapons. So for example, we could have a container that can only store like a certain tier of ranged weapons in it, and it's quite limited, like maybe there's only 3 slots, and then there's like another container which can contain like 5 or 6 of the next tier down, and then you can regular containers can contain like infinite of the basic weapons. And the idea is like when you're going out just gathering resources, maybe you go with one of the early or mid tier kits, and then when you're like going into combat, it's like mid or end tier kits. So that's a potential. I think that would be relatively straightforward to implement. It would mean we'd need subtypes of containers, which I think I have, but yeah. Something to think about. Yeah, Oh, so now we have that. So we just go back here, and that's all written up there. Wonderful. Oh man. I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'm going to be going for these two, the slot-based storage and then the weight-based storage. Yeah, most likely. Um, cool. Right. Oh yeah, so we've got a backpack section. So do we have? Yeah, we've got stuff like backpacks can be dropped and all that kind of stuff. Right, so let's go to the base building stuff. Need to start thinking about this a bit more avidly. Let's populate these real quick. I really wish I wouldn't do that. Why can't this just sync up to this? So irritating. Oh, it's little things. Good. We can just do the same for these. Wonderful. Right, so that's all we've filled in to-dos. Okay, so player buildings require upkeep. So, are required to play for a amount. Hang on. So it's player buildings don't persist forever. Therefore, keeping the server clean of players who have left for a long time. Players can't simply port locations without having to put in the effort. Oh yeah, gives players a reason to play often and forces conflict in specific locations. So something I really like the idea of is having it so like you want to create a driving force for people to collect together and interact. So like if you didn't do anything and it was just an open world with stuff everywhere, you would players would still naturally interact with each other, but it wouldn't be very specific. And people might find their safe areas and stick to them and never go outside, never explore any further aspects of the game. So I want to try and prevent that. And there's a few ways I want to achieve this. The first is obviously upkeep on buildings to force players to have to go and gather certain types of resources or items or whatever it is I decide. I also want to be able to raid people. You have to interact with the PvE missions. And this means players will like fight over them. So like imagine you want to raid somebody's base, and the only way you can do so is by getting explosives, and the only way you can get explosives is by doing these mid to late tier missions that will spawn on the map. So you have to interact with the PvE of the game, and there'll be like armed guards in a bunker and stuff. And so uh, you know, that will spawn and you want to raid somebody's base. So you'll have to go up to this place to get it. And as you do so, you another player could, another group of players could arrive and fight over the explosives that are there. And it could very well be the case that the players you're trying to raid are actually preemptively stopping you from getting the explosives to be able to raid them. So they'll go up to the content and interact with it and then take it before you even make it there, which I think is a cool premise. Not many of the games kind of limit you to quite that extent. I think they kind of do. Like there's fixed spawns of this type of item in most of the games, but like Rust is an example where you're inundated with explosives and things. Like you can go up to a sulfur mine or something and like mass produce them, and there's a launch site for missiles where you can target locations on the map and stuff. So I want to avoid that, but I like those as concepts. So like I'm picturing different approaches to raiding people's bases. One of them, in fact, I like the idea of hiring mercenaries. So you can actually hire some PvE hostiles to engage in combat with enemy players' base. You pay them, or maybe you even give them kits, and they'll like assault the player's base with you. So they get treated as part of your team, and they can store weapons, and they'll even try and like revive you and things, and all that kind of stuff. And perhaps they'll come with their own set of explosives or something. But in order to do that, you also have to be another kind of PvE content, for instance, and like earn their some reputation system, and then you spend reputation to have the AI with you, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about with this. So the disadvantages, uh, players will have to play to maintain the bases. The upkeep system can be hard to balance. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable for now. Mm-hmm. Um, I need to stop doing that. Oh, it's all coming together at least. So I think I'm close to having enough of a basic understanding of the things I do and don't want to then to be able to start implementing more of these systems. I do need to completely figure out my inventory system because it's currently completely broken. Yeah, not sure what was wrong with that one. Do I have like, well, right, I've got some random warnings. That was weird. Oh yeah, let's tidy these up as well. Any more? Nothing in here. Cool. Oh, come on. Go back to where we were. Okay, hard to balance. Yeah, so it's like players can stockpile upkeep. So I'm thinking, so let's go over this. So players will have to play to mean can keep based on group size, group and base size. Solo players shouldn't have to play for more than a few hours a week at most. Large groups might need to play 3 days. Hard to balance. Yeah, I mean, you need to figure out a reasonable system for calculating upkeep. Mind that different players will have really different time schedules. Yeah, there seems to be a big thing about hang on, schedules. One of the newer games that I've been playing, the Forever Winter, has a lot of people up in arms about their water maintenance system. And I appreciate what they're saying. You lose, 1 barrel of water a day, and you have to gather one for every day you don't want your base being destroyed. But it's like, after I played for 1 day in a month, I managed to get like 20-30 days worth of water. And then I also had better gear and stuff, and I could in an hour gather like over a month's supply of water for it. So it's like there's people who do and people who don't, and it's like I appreciate that some people might find that stressful, but if they don't give you incentive to keep playing and there's no risk to your stuff, um that well then you just end up not playing anymore. I think there's got to be some cost of upkeep in certain games. It's not like you're playing an MMO or anything, so yeah. Right, so back to here. Yeah, so I'm thinking, yeah, players can stockpile upkeep items. So like, if you've got a base and you want to, if you wanted to in most games, you could like massively go out resource gathering, stockpile like months worth of base upkeep. And I don't like the fact that even for me, I would tend to get a bit hoardery and go and like mass gather the upkeep items. So if it was like in Rust, it's like whatever resources your base is made out of. So it's like stone and metal or something. And then I'm the kind of person who would like spend 2 hours just gathering enough upkeep for my base for the next month. And it's kind of fun, but not really. It becomes a little obnoxious pretty quickly. Um, and so what my thinking here would be, upkeep items can only be delivered to your base and not stored. They, yeah. So the idea would be, so like this could be fuel that's stored in a generator. Fuel has a maximum storage. So yeah, so if this was the case, so you're like running around gathering stuff and you're like your base is oh good grief, does it it's pretty terrible sometimes, right? And so your base is like you got like 3 or 4 days worth of upkeep and you want to put it to its max of like 14 days. So you go out gathering it, and let's say, for example, there's a fuel truck patrol, a new mission that's like roaming around the map. And so you seek it out, take it out, and then when you make it back to your base with the fuel, you put it in the base's reactor or generator or whatever, and now you can't store that fuel anywhere, so it just goes and maybe even spoils essentially in the same way that food does. And the idea then is you can go out and you can easily maximize the supply, so you don't need to do it very often. So let's say like you do one mission to get the upkeep items as a solo player, and it gives you like a week's worth. So you just do that mission once a week, and it would be like a, don't know, 6 AI with mildly armed and just a truck or a cart, some trailer, they've got it on them, whatever it is. And obviously you get their loot and things as well, and then you take the fuel, put it back in your base, and that's it. And it uses up the item. There's like one item, fuel, and you put it in, and it gives you a fixed value. Maybe there's like small, medium, large fuel or something. And then players with bigger bases have to build additional storage containers for the fuel, but it doesn't mean they can store an additional fuel tank or something as such, like not a permanent, you can't have one left over, and a solo can't build them either. So you've got like a base of a certain size and you're always at max capacity and you can never stockpile it. I think that works. So, I mean, people might find it annoying, but yeah, it's I think it's a reasonable means of stopping people from both hoarding upkeep items and also feeling the need to go out and gather them every other minute. And stealing them becomes a bit more valuable. Yeah, you could like intercept someone who's just basically picked up a week's supply of fuel, and you could craft it and stuff as well, but it would be like end game tier stuff, and maybe you can only craft it in a certain location or something. But you couldn't maintain it. You would have to do something away from the base to maintain it. Seems reasonable to me. Oh, goodness me. Yeah. Oh, right. It's only been half an hour. Good grief. It takes a surprising amount of effort to think and talk about this all the time. But I've got to do it. I've been meaning to do it for years, I think. When did I make this project? Let's have a look. It was like 2022. Oh no, 2023. It's only actually been a year since I started this project. So that's not bad. This is yeah. Oh, I can't wait to have to make all the 3D models for everything. Maybe I'll hire somebody at some point, just for fun, just get them to do a couple of things. Maybe get someone to do some basic like borders for the UI that I can use, and don't know, maybe a custom font or something. I'd quite happily pay somebody to do stuff like that, just to, you know, for the sake of doing it, really. Right. Oh, pardon me. So yeah, let's go to upkeep items. Yeah, so if I do that, it's just... What is all of this? That's interesting. Alright, fair enough. P2 director. I'll look into that sometime. Okay, so fuel. Right, this is upkeep approach. So fuel requires players to from mid to high end locations, both for from and possibly crafting. Uh So it's like we can limit the carry amount of fuel specifically. It's so it can't be stored in containers. Base. Okay, so the cons, this will force players to engage in the end game content or the order to keep the base. Let's go. Players might get annoyed about having limited ways of maintaining their base. We want to force player conflict, and to make sure players engage with the mid-game content at least somewhat frequently. What? Hang on. Right. Main ways of maintaining? Something like that, and then this would be by limiting the source for upkeep, can control the rate, can gather up upkeep and where they fight for it. Also simplifies upkeep. So players don't need to spend a little time gathering other. There we go. It's all coming together. And should I just do this? Does that? No, it doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good in here. Oh, goodness me. So much to think about. Oh dear. I can't wait until I have to start thinking about the actual survival elements of this damn thing. It's not a trivial issue at all. Okay, basic resources. So, This will allow players to update easily by using cool resources. Players can store long upkeep and after needing to fight or lose. See, I could have it as something as simple as like there's petrol and diesel. And diesel is what your base needs, and petrol is what vehicles need. And so it's like, keeps them as two separate things, both fuel, but neither are. You can't use one instead of the other. Something to that effect. I think those are the main ones. So the cons are players don't have to try hard to actually obtain the base. Players can effectively keep the base forever with the right storage and call it gathering routines. Because there's a point in Rust where you end up with like a near like endless supply of resources for just a stone base or something. You just come back every couple days, gather some things, move some shit around, wait, maybe kill some people, go back, rinse and repeat. It's a lot more of a casual experience. I mean, the third one here, this bit here is how I know Deadside works like that. I think Ark has the same concept. Don't remember you having to upkeep your base at all. Yeah, I think you just have to be online to upkeep bases in Ark. So yeah. Okay, let's go with everybody will be gathering these sources all the time. It's the most things. For there will still be a lot of player interaction. Players still need to actually play the game to move around. We could limit the container storage. Still a limit of Okay, yeah. So I mean, so something that comes up quite frequently in other games forums is when people were like, so there's a lot of military guys playing, games like Daisy and Deadside and stuff. And obviously they can go off for months. I appreciate the fact that they don't want to like go off and then come back and find their entire base has been stripped apart because they just weren't playing. Um, but I mean, there's like the main one was the Forever Winter where it was like off kind of single player, not PvP. So if I made this a single player game, or with the capability of playing single player, which might happen, then I could just set an option for people to disable base upkeep at that point anyway. Um, but it's a reasonable concern. I mean, if I don't know if I'm sick for a week or I'm away for work for a week, there's a lot of games where I would have lost most of my progress. Um, so yeah, it does suck. I mean, if I hosted servers for this, I would make servers with different like times multipliers on base upkeep. So there'd be one where it's like a week, another one where it's like 3 weeks, and then one where it's like a month minimum. So you just put one fuel in and suddenly your base is alright for a month. And that means players' bases will persist for a lot longer, unless you get raided. But I think I'm going to go down the Deadside route of raiding, because they made it possible you can only raid people if you actually kill them out in the world, so you can't be offline raided, which is interesting. Again, that's a subject matter down here somewhere, so we'll cross that bridge at some point. Go over all the pros and cons of it. See what we think. Very simple. Upkeep players. Not much to really say about this. I keep typing maintain horrible. Oh, I didn't realize that. Alright. There we go. Just globally corrected that spelling. Wrong version of there. Well, wrong spelling, not version. Right. Couple more and I think I've stopped. An hour of just sitting here talking and thinking about it is actually quite intense. Disadvantages, this doesn't require any real activity at all. PvP might be did and some content. 10 export tool. Players' bases will last almost forever unless raided. I don't think there's much more to say about that, so and what do you do about that? So if it doesn't require almost any activity at all, how do you mitigate it? Because it's annoying to have to log in every day. Like, I've played enough games with daily login bonus that it's just, nah, it's not, that ain't it. Um, uh, don't know. What more is there? Oh, good. What do you do about that? So if I've got 40 unique players, maybe there's like, let's call it bases, so there's like 20 bases on a map. And at any one time, there's only ever 3 people online on that particular server. And some people are like all for the PvP and others aren't. And it's like, well, in this system, some people just come online, do a bit of gathering, go back to the base and log off. Or something to that effect. And it's like the players who are coming on to do PvP will probably never see them. You would have to like scour the map for it. Hmm. Yeah. What do you do? You're basically playing on a passive server at that point. People don't really have to care about actually playing the game at a certain stage. They just kind of log on, do the thing they want to do, and go. Which, yeah, it just doesn't encourage any kind of conflict whatsoever. And if I have a raiding system where you basically can't offline raid people, that's kind of it. People will basically just come on for the PvE content and maybe fight people if they encounter them. There's always going to be people like that, but can I force anything? Do you make the times really low? Make it so they have to log in? You know, I mean, so I could make it so upkeep is generated by being online for length of time. This means that players will create upkeep for their base by persisting online for X minutes. We could also make it so mission completions generate base upkeep. So this is quite a fun idea actually. So imagine you're in a match. Sorry, you've got a base and it's like kind of got a couple hours left or a day left. The maximum limit could be like 2 weeks. And so I can make it so every 15 minutes online generates, say every 5 minutes online generates an hour's worth of upkeep for your base in this instance. So let's do the math. I think it will automatically figure it out if I do this. So it'd be equals that divided by that. Hang on. So that's 168 instances of 5. No, I'm doing that wrong. So it'd be 14. Oh, it's... Wait, it's just... if I delete that, make it number 14 equals that times that. So if you were to play for an hour and 10 minutes straight, you would generate the maximum cap of upkeep for a base. It's pretty reasonable. I think that's quite a modest amount. And for instance, completing a mission could generate like 5 or 6 hours or something. And it wouldn't matter what it was. It's just immediately like you go out, do a basic mission, mission complete, bam, you've generated like, sorry, that's 14 hours, that's days, I should say. So 5 minutes is generating a day's worth of upkeep. Maybe hours, who knows? But anyway, so that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Yeah, something like that. I think that's a pretty cool idea. That could work. So you could let it run pretty close to the end, and then you go and do a couple of missions back to back, and suddenly the upkeep's like maxed out. That might work. And yeah, players' bases will last almost forever unless raided. Um, hmm. We could possibly make a system that exponentially decays bases based on last login duration. So what I'm thinking, expo. I don't know how to spell that one. So what we're thinking here would be, so this means that players that log on once a week will lose more upkeep than players that log on daily. So it's like, hang on, no, not WhatsApp, just go here. Sorry, I do like being able to spell things somewhat correctly. So imagine, think about this. So if you only log on once a week, let's say that there's upkeep, there's upkeep rate, and it would be like, it would say something like after 3, currently decaying at, 1 minute per minute rate, and then it would be something along the lines of, I'd say like after 5 days upkeep rate decay increases by 1.5, and then suddenly it's like 50% faster, and then 50% again, and so on, and it just keeps going up. So you inevitably have to log on slightly more consistently to maintain it. Just, yeah, again, just a thought. Cool. I think that's a reasonable amount. See there, now we got this nice little shenanigans going on here. I think I need to make this it's something like 1, 2, 2. That work? There we go. Cool. See, now we've got the columns a bit better. So I could just go and put that across most of them. And now I can go across here and it's collapsed them down a bit nicer. So all the decisions are spread out better. That's cool. Wonderful. I do like this. I wish, kind of wish I had a team or something of people to bounce ideas off of, and we just collectively make a game like this. But I don't know. Hard to find people like that, I think. It's all coming together. Right, well, yeah, I think that's all I've got in me for this at the moment. At least I'm documenting my design at the moment, because if I ever want to remember why the hell I thought of something, I can come back to these videos and be like, oh yeah. And if anyone else wants to figure out why, I can point them to this. Yeah, I think it's cool. And eventually I'll get to a stage where I'm implementing most of this stuff. And then maybe even a playable demo or something. And people will be like, oh, I wonder what decisions the game's gonna have in next. And I'll just be like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about this system and here's why and all the advantages and disadvantages. And I'll just be like, you know, I've already thought of all of this, and then we can like debate all of these with the actual player base. People can even suggest things, and I could make a Trello that has like these as cards and then all of this information for it, and people can like suggest things, and it would be really cool. Assuming I get that kind of interaction back. Alright, I'm gonna go and put my bed together again. I've taken all of the sheets and cases and stuff off, so I'll be damned if I'm doing it at midnight again. Or at least I don't have to remember all of this stuff anymore. It's not in my head, so I don't have to hold on to it like I used to. Cool, alright, I'll see you guys around.